Unless you can teach it better, then I can hear from you. Otherwise, I'm teaching you what you're supposed to know. Interest in the real world, other than with family or friends, you're not going to be borrowing money and then just paying them back the same amount. If I loaned you $1,000, I would expect more back. I'm not your family, okay? So lenders, or people with money, they loan money to borrowers, people who don't have money. They charge them a fee on top of the money that they expected to be paid back. So the money that you borrow or loan out, that's called the principal. Principal with an A, like the principal of a school. The fee that's charged by the lender, be quiet, I'm recording. The fee that's charged by the lender to the borrower is called the interest. So often it's useful to, can you get your maths books out, please? If you don't have your maths book, it's probably in that box. Boys, you're already disrespectful coming in later. If you want me to respect your grade and your education, you treat me the same. The fee charged by the lender to the borrower is called interest. So I like to think of the interest as the cherry on top. If I loan someone $1,000 and I expect $1,200 back, that $200 is going to be the interest because I want to make some money out of that thing. Okay? And lastly, at the end of the arrangement, do you need a new maths book? Do you need a new maths book? Do you boys need a new maths book? No? At the end of the arrangement, the borrower has to pay back the principal, the stuff that they borrowed, and that cherry on top. So like we said, in real life, it's probably only your family that you can be able to borrow money from and then just pay them back. If you're doing it with a bank, they're going to charge you interest. So for example, I had to borrow, $480,000 to buy my house here in Aberfoyle Park. What am I paying overall? I'm paying probably almost $1 million over the course of 30 years. Why? Because of interest. And the bank charges you interest over the course of 30 years. I'm actually going to be paying more interest, the cherry on top, than the house is worth in the first place. The interest I'm going to pay is like $500,000 versus the house was only $480,000. Okay? The only thing that you should ever borrow money for is a house. Don't borrow money to buy a car, although I'll teach you how to do that in your assignment. You should be buying a used car for cash. Okay? Because then you're not paying for this little cherry on top that you're not getting anything out of. Okay? All right, the first kind of interest that you need to be aware of is called simple interest. Sometimes it's called flat rate interest. The interest is charged per year as a specific interest rate percentage of the original principal. So what I'd like you to do, please, can you, if you came in later, get that first box there to explain what principal and interest is? And then can you get this formula, SI is equal to P times R times T. Keep your mouth shut while you're copying that down. You can talk when I've done the 4 examples. Simple interest isn't really used that much in real life. It's compound interest. But, you know, like JB Hi-Fi, you can buy stuff on finance, like a TV or something. That's simple interest. The stuff in the square is the most important, yeah? This is the most. But see, this is important too because it explains what you're putting into that formula. The money that you borrow or loan out is called the principal. The fee charged by the lender to the borrower is called interest. And the borrower, the person that didn't have the money in the first place, they need to pay back the principal and the interest on top. How do we work out that interest? We use this formula. For simple interest, P times R times T. So your assignment will be kind of unrealistic because I'm telling you that you should buy used. But if you want to buy a nice fancy car on finance, then the assignment will show you. I'm going to scroll down so you can see the first example. Get that formula and can you write example 1? Find the simple interest that we pay investing $8,000 at a flat rate of 7% per annum over 18 months. Let's work through that together. If you have highlighters, I encourage you to use them. If I can show you later, this is literally straight from the Year 11 General Maths, my folder. Year 10, Finance, you repeat the exact same lessons for Year 11 if you're doing General Maths or even Essential Maths. How do we approach these kind of questions? Example 1, calculate. The question says simple interest. Why is it important to highlight that? Because that means I'm using this formula that I gave you today. What was the investment? What was invested in this question? Example 1. How much did they invest? That's the percentage. $8,000. Highlight that. We'll go with that 7%. That's the interest rate. And we just need to know how long. 18 months. So put your little symbols next to that. That's the P. This is the R. This is the T. It's asking for the simple interest. So the equation is written for that. Simple interest is equal to, what did you say the investment was? $8,000 times by. This is the only thinking for this that you need to do. You don't just put 7 in. Does anyone know what 7% is, but written as a decimal? 0.07. Good. You divide the percentage by 100 to make it into a decimal. So it becomes 0.07 times by, does anyone know what 18 months is in years? 1.5. That's fine. I'd like for someone to get it wrong, because if you don't know it off the top of your head, here's how you work it out. You go 18 months divided by, how many months are there in a year? 12. And if you put that in a calculator, it would spit out 1.5. The other way to think about it is 1 year is 12 months. And then how many is left over for 18? 6. 6 months is half a year. There's multiple ways to work it out. Okay? Don't jump to conclusions though. Work it out for yourself. So you just grab a calculator. 8,000 times by 0.07 times by 1.5. That tells me that I would make $840 of interest if I left that $8,000 at 7%. If I left that $8,000 alone in that account for 1.5 years, I would make $840 on top of it. So I made a little profit there. The only people that can really afford to do that is old people, because they're not spending money on anything. We're not in that situation, okay? Let's try the next one, example 2. $2,700 is invested at 5%. Flat rate, find the total value of the investment after 8 years. What should I highlight? Flat rate indicates we're using simple interest. I'm putting $2,700 in. What's the interest rate of this one? Example 2. 5, good. Highlight that. Does it tell me how long I'm leaving it around for? Good. If you want to, put labels at the stuff. This is the principal. This is the rate. This is the time. Fine. The only trick with this question is it's asking for the total value. It's not asking for the interest on top. It's asking for how much do I end up with the interest, the cherry on top. So do the maths as normal. SI equals, I put $2,700 away. What's 5% as a decimal? Good. 0.05 times by, how many years am I doing it for? 8. You grab your calculator out. I think it's on this side. 2,700 times by 0.05 times by 8. So that's going to generate me $1,080. That seems like a lot, but I was leaving it alone for friggin' 8 years. That would get you half of your marks, because it's not asking for the interest, it's asking for the total value. So what's the total value? I invested $2,700 and whoever I invested in is paying me $10.80. So overall, the total value of this is going to be $37.80. Can you get those two examples down, please? We've got two more showing rearranging the formula, and then I'll be quiet. Do you guys all know if you've got interest earning savings accounts?
Yeah, I do.
What you should have is a transaction account where your pay goes into, and then a savings account separate, and you don't touch that. Leave that alone. Because if you read the bank's fine print, you only get the full interest rate in that savings account if you don't touch that money.
Leave it in there for a month.
Yeah. Well, different banks, different things.
Huh?
So like Bank SA says it has to grow by $50 a month or something. Some other banks are like, if you withdraw anything, you get like 0.000% interest rate. They try to fool you.
I think ANZ do.
It just depends on. We'll have a look at that later. We'll have a look at what to look at.
I get 7%.
If you leave it alone.
Yeah, if I leave it alone after 1 month. For every month.
Yeah, it doesn't stand like much, but later when you got like 10 grand in there, you actually earn legitimate.
Yeah, well, if you get $100,000 in there, it's like 70k.
Yes, if you leave it. That's why the rich get richer, because they just get money for nothing. They just sit it there. Example 3, you want to earn. This one's a tricky one. I want to earn $6,000 of interest by investing for 4 years, and I'm investing 18 grand. What rate do I want? So this question, it wants to know what R is. I know the interest that I'm making, I know how long, and I know how much I'm investing for. The formula I've given you doesn't work out R. It works out SI. But use the same for put in what you know. I know that I want to make 6,000 of interest. How much am I investing to make that? P. I'm investing $18,000 times by. The only thing in that formula I don't know is R. So just write R. Times by T. Do we know how long he's investing it for? Or she or whatever? How long? Example 3. You want to earn 6 grand interest in 4 years. So T is 4. So you're looking at that equation and you're freaking out. And then I'm remind you that we did algebra before. There is nothing stopping you working out what 18,000 times by 4 is. Except I don't know my 18,000 times tables. 18,000 times by 4. So this is going to be 6,000 is equal to 72,000 times by R. I want R by itself. It's not by itself right now. What's $72,000 doing to R right now? Timesing. What is the opposite of timesing something by 72,000? So if I divide both sides by 72 grand so that I keep it balanced, the only thing that's going to be left is that R, which is what we want by itself. So if I go 6,000 divided by 72,000, that's telling me, so R is going to be 0.083. That's a decimal right now. What percentage would that be? Jump it. 2 decimal points to the right, so 8.3%. If you found a bank that paid 8.3% per annum, this is what would happen. You would make 6 grand of interest if you put $18,000 in there and left it alone for 4 years. But you would need to find a rate that high. The rates currently are probably not that high, they're just a bit under. Get that third example down. One more example and I will finally shut my mouth. Actually, I'll move this so you can get the last example. Can you grab that last example there? Example 4. Do you guys mind if your names are in the test?
Yeah.
You do mind?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just be fun. Invested 250 grand on gold watch. Example 4, and then we're done. Question? This table's up here. All right, let's do that last one. Shh, girls, you've been chatting this whole time. We're all... Our phone's meant to be out. It's on YouTube now. How long would it take? It's asking you how long. So you're trying to find T this time. T question mark. I want to earn $4,760 of interest. Investing $16,000 at 8.5% per annum. So I know SI, I know P, and I know the rate. But I have a formula that works out SI. Just put in what you know. I want to earn $47.60 in interest. I want to invest $16,000. I know that the rate is 8.5%. What's 8.5 as a decimal? 0.085. If a bank gave 0.85, that would be crazy work. That would be diabolical. Times by... It's asking me how long. So I don't know how long. So leave it at T. Nothing stopping you working out what these two times together are. So use a calculator for that. 16 grand times by 0.085. 1360 times T. I want to know what T is. It's not alone yet. What's 1360 doing to T? What's the opposite of timesing by 1360? Crickets. What's the opposite of timesing by 1360? Divide by 1360 on both sides to keep it balanced. So T is going to be whatever 4760 divided by 1360 is 3.5. So if I wanted to do that situation, if I wanted to make $4,760 of interest by investing $16,000 at 8.5% per annum, I'd have to leave it alone for 3.5 years. Don't touch that. Okay?